So many rights.
Slipped over here with BT. Man, real knowledge. You about to get it straight from the horse's mouth, man. God giving you straight information. Check it. What it do?
All right,
now we was talking about the Patriot Act.
Well, yeah, people don't realize yet. People have not read the Patriot Act. All of our legislators, the congressmen and senators who signed on to that, they never read the Patriot Act, man. And they've really eroded civil rights, all of the constitutional protections that was built in. The Patriot Act negated a whole heap of that. And people just haven't realized it. We haven't looked at it. You know, just this week, one of our local ministers, businessman, good guy, go about the community helping, never been in any trouble. The sheriff department kicked the man's door in 3 o'clock in the morning. No search warrant or nothing. Dragged him out of his house. He was in the nude, which is the way he sleeps. They dragged him out and had him face down in the street, completely naked.
Wow.
3 o'clock in the morning. No search warrant. Went through his house and everything. 20 minutes later, the man lands in the street, and the shift supervisor drives up and said, "What are you guys doing? This is not the house."
Wow.
They've searched the man's house, no search warrant, you know. And but the worst part of it all to me is this, Slip. The next morning, you know, he's a very popular guy in the community. The next morning, he gets up and goes down and talks to the sheriff about what transpired. You know, at least come daylight, because it was 3 o'clock that morning. And according, he sat right, matter of fact, right where we're sitting now. He came here and he sat and we talked. And he said that the sheriff admitted to him that what they did was wrong and that he's probably got right to take legal action against them. He said, but the sheriff said, "I got one thing I want to ask you. What were you doing naked in your house at 3 o'clock in the morning?" Can you imagine the implications of a question like that? This white policeman is asking this black man, why is it he didn't call him up and get permission to take his clothes off in his house? He asked the man, what's he doing naked in his house? 3 o'clock in the morning. So that must mean that we got to get master's permission to undress before we, you know, to me, I don't know which is worse, them breaking in the man's house and dragging him out. Then the implications of that question. What were you doing nude in your house at 3 o'clock in the morning? Our officers had, you know, that's the reason our officers probably came. What are the implications of that, man? What was, if his officers happened to be peeping in that man's window and saw him nude in his house, who was breaking the law? What laws were being violated? Was this man in his house getting out his tub or just walking around his house 3 o'clock in the morning? Or these officers on this man's property without a search warrant, without probable cause, invading his privacy, peeping in his house, and decided from that to kick his door in and drag him out. So, you know, the question was raised, well, these guys didn't even have a search warrant. Well, what you need to understand now, the Miranda rights, all of that stuff, man, that stuff been thrown out by the
habeas corpus, all that's gone.
Yeah, the need for them to have a search warrant, they're not worried about that, you know, because I think they know that they're protected under the so-called Patriot Act. So there's just so much stuff that's going on around us that we're not aware of, man. And here in Southeast Louisiana, Metro New Orleans, bruh, this is the who dat nation. Especially in the black community, I can't believe the amount of grown or supposedly adult black men who are members of the who dat nation. These volunteer wannabe owned Negroes. We know that the blacks on the team is owned by that white billionaire. Mm-hmm. So when the blacks out here in the community, supposedly free blacks, take their hard-earned little money, It's been proven by, it's been shown by all of these investigations, these studies, that blacks have 1/5 the worth of whites. You saw the latest studies, right? That showed that for every $100 of value in a white family, that $100 is only $5 in a black family.
Wow.
Check that out. That black dude who only got $5 against the white boy's $100 to take care of his wife and kids, spend a disproportionate amount of that on sports paraphernalia. He buys uniforms and caps and shoes and dressing up, a pseudo slave. He want to be a slave like his counterparts, the Negroes that are actually owned by them rich white boys on them teams. Here they join the Who Dat Nation. It's about black and gold, and they take their hard-earned money that they need to be directed towards the education of their poor children, and they bring it to the slave master too. They bring their money to them voluntarily. They walk around advertising for free they're walking billboards. And the irony of it is they don't get paid to advertise. They pay. They spend their own hard-earned money to buy them monkey suits and black and gold outfits that they run around in. And if it ain't the black and gold, then it's Calvin Klein and Ralph Lauren's. And we are proud to proclaim our allegiance to our master and our moral, spiritual, and financial support of our masters, of their masters, because I don't count myself. How do I separate myself? How do I protect myself from people like that? How do people who are aware, how do they deal with stuff like that?
Man, you heard it. You getting it here. I'm telling you, and it's straight info. We'll let BT take a call, and we're going in. I remember when I first started hearing, speak on that. That's back when the information in my head was just small and minute, right? And so I'm thinking to myself, but they making money. These are our folks. And I remember my pops used to talk about the brothers sagging in the street. Them are folks. That's what it is. But then now, after I really start to pay attention and get more information and education in my head, I start to understand everything that he's talking about. Like I start to understand everything BT talking about right here. And it's Bob Taylor right there, man. Giving straight raw. You getting it raw. Yeah, you can't get it raw like this. You know what? I'm gonna start finding the great minds in our communities. And I'm just going to go, and we go find him. We go dig him up, and we go go in the streets, and we go really get him. He's a busy man. But he took some time out for us to get on his tape, and to give you the education free. We get it at Sidewalk University. You know what I mean? Back to the professor.
Yeah, Slipped Up. It's phenomenal what's actually happening with us here in America. I just saw, I was skimming through the internet like I usually do, and I intended to go back to it. I was searching for something, but I came across an article that stated that for every 100 black women in America, there are only five qualified black men qualified to be a mate to a real black woman. I think that's terrible. I can see some instances of that, but there's another side to that as well. They never do studies of those 5 qualified black men. How many of that 100 black women are qualified for that black man?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? They don't touch on that. You see what I'm saying? And we know that the mothers of the village, of the nation, are very important people. See? And there's some terrible stuff that's going on with our black women. Not to take anything away from these lost black men out here, who if you can convince a black man to have his belt tied